Thank you to Rachel also for helping organize. Let me just share some thoughts with you about what I'm seeing since I left medicine to make this a full-time operation, which is to deal with people throughout the world. And I go to Israel now every 3 months to lecture on dating. I'll be going to speak to the IDF, I think in September, because many people, I just went, an amazing story, let me tell you. I had an event last year in Chabad Rechavia in Yerushalayim. A 40-year-old girl from Milan, Ashkenazi, met a 44-year-old ger from Lublin, Poland. He was raised in England. I had the pleasure to manage the whole shidduch over the whole year, and they got married on Lag BaOmer night. We had to leave the ceremony 2 times because that has za'akas, because Baruch Hashem, the IDF took care of that stuff. But for them it was normal. The ceremony just stopped in the middle, we go inside, they knock out the missile and be done with it. But here's what's interesting. The next night, there was a Sheva Berachot in the Kala's building by the Kala's neighbor. So we prayed, we davened in the lobby of the building. It's an American building, mostly American Olim. So after Arbit, we're led to the, just give me a second. We're led to the apartment of the person who's hosting. So my wife and I are, as we're going in, we see a woman, she's about 33, 34 years old, and there's 3 kids with her, 10 years old, 6 and 2. So I say, where's the husband? She's hosting 40 people. There is no husband. He was killed in Gaza. 35-year-old genius. He was a brilliant guy. His name was Zechar. You see pictures in the living room. Apparently, he had written a commentary on the Talmudic Encyclopedia. 450 references. He could have had any easy job in the IDF Central Command. No, he said, I want combat. Only combat. I got to serve Am Yisrael. And here was a 40-year-old, a 33-year-old woman hosting 40 people and cooked everything. You couldn't even tell she lost her husband. Her simcha was absolutely amazing. And as the guys started to come into because they're from Teaneck, I would call them modern Orthodox. As the friends start to come in, every guy's got, sitting next to me with guns. They're all on Miluim. They're all, So they tell me, we watch your stuff in the IDF. Maybe you come back and do a lecture for us on if we should date or not date, because we're constantly going in and out of Gaza. That's a good idea. I have to think about that one. But B'ezrat Hashem, I'll be back there in September. I want to share an amazing story with you. There's a fellow who teaches at Yeshiva University. His name is Rabbi Benjamin Bleich. He's a brilliant guy. Recently, he celebrated his 60th anniversary. Where? Hollywood, California. Land of make-believe. Anyway, so he has a lot of friends in the movie business. And they're coming up to congratulate him. These are movie stars, and these are people he invited, the writers, directors. And one of them says to him, 60 years with the same woman, wow. We could do that here in Hollywood, but it would take us 5 partners. How'd you do it with 1? How? What's your secret? And he tells them something beautiful. He says, when you're in Hebrew school, elementary school, yeshiva, about 4th grade, you start learning Mishnah. Mishnah is the oral law that was put together by the Yehuda HaNasi. The first Mishnah you learn as a little 4th grader, maybe you're 10 years old, is the Mishnah where 2 people find a garment at the same exact time, and they both jump on the garment at the same time. Exact time, exactly. And the question is asked, who owns the garment? And the answer is, they both come to court, to Beit Din. They both take a shivua that they got there first, and the Dayan asks for a scissor, and he says, may I have a scissor? The judge asks for a scissor, and he cuts the garment in half, and they share the garment. And Rabbi Bleich looks at the movie director, and he says, that's all it takes. If you want to be married for 60 years, learn how to share the garments. That's what it's all about. As exactly as Rabbi Bakshi said, It's not about taking, it's about giving. And our Hebrew language is brilliant with this, because we have a concept called the shortish of the word. Every Hebrew word has a root, the middle 2 or 3 letters. So we know, what is the Hebrew word for love? Ahava. What is the root of ahava? The letters he, bet, hav. What does hav mean? Give. Our rabbis were not stupid. They encoded into every word a very unique thought, an idea. Judaism believes that a successful marriage is about being a giver. I'll tell you a very interesting story. There was a flight that took off from New York to the Midwest. On this flight was an Orthodox girl, and she was waiting for her kosher meal. She sees ahead of her, about 5 or 6 rows, a guy was wearing a kippah. All right. Comes time for dinner, and the stewardess is walking up and down the aisles, and she has her list of kosher meals. She gets to the young lady first. She gives her a kosher meal, and she's hungry because she's going to a market that doesn't have kosher food. And she's starting to enjoy the meal, when she notices that when the stewardess is now 4 or 5 rows ahead, she gets to the young man. He says to her, I have a kosher meal. She looks at her rishum, her list. I'm sorry, sir, you're not on the list. The young woman overhears the conversation. She motions to the stewardess, excuse me, I need to speak with you. So the stewardess comes and says, how can I help you? He says, I have 6 items here. I'll take 3. Please give the young man 3. And the stewardess comes up to him. He says, these are donated by that young lady. So he motions like a thank you. He at least is going to survive. He didn't have any food with him. And the plane lands. And he gets off first because he is ahead of her. And he waits in the jet service there so that he could thank her. And as she comes out, he says, thank you so much. My name is Howie Gordon. She says, my name is Judith Stone. And she says to him, that name is familiar. I remember. Your name came up in the shidduch. And you said no. Why? So he says to her, yes, I recall.
She got back to together.
Well, this is what happened. The Shadchan told me that she was a college-educated girl. I didn't want that. I wanted a girl who would do chesed. So she looks at him, he says, I just fed you. P.S. They got engaged. That's what it's all about. It's about looking at the person's goodness. That's what you're looking for. It's so important. One of my favorite stories is a lady named Gila Mandelson. She's today a very famous dating coach and psychologist in Israel. She was raised in LA. She wasn't even religious. She went to Project Birthright. And on Project Birthright, they took them to Israel. And once, when she was in Yerushalayim, a friend of hers says, I'm invited tonight to an Orthodox wedding. You want to join me? So she came. She was wearing jeans. And she looks at a Orthodox wedding for the first time in her life. There's a mechitza, people are dressed b'tzniut, modestly, elegance, refinement. And it really inspires her. And she tells the head of the tour, I would like to extend my stay. You guys go home. I'm going to stay. I'd like to discover my legacy, Judaism. And she enrolls. There's 2 big programs if a person is not religious and wants to get up there a little bit. There's Nevei Yerushalayim and Ma'ayanot. Nevei Yerushalayim is more like regular Ashkenaz, Sfaradim, and Ma'ayanot is Chabad. So she enrolls in Nevei Yerushalayim. After a year, she's now, Baruch Hashem, Orthodox. And she's set up to go out on a date with someone. And it's looking good. This guy is learning in, I believe, Isha Torah, which is right there by the Kotel. After a few months of dating, it was time to propose. But he said to her something very intelligent. Before I propose to you for marriage, I want you to meet my Rebbe. Because it's a good thing to get what we call haskama, certification from Rebbe. I think it's a fantastic thing. First of all, I want to say two things. One thing rather. I think it's very important that when a girl dates, that the guy that she's going out with has some sort of rabbinical mentor. Because it's very important that the couple has guidance when they first get married. I can't emphasize it enough. Very important. I remember when I was getting ready to right before I got engaged, my Rebbe was a Avigdor Miller, who I knew since I was 12. I brought my wife, my fiancée, to his house. It was a June, maybe 35 years ago. She was shaking, to be in the presence of the Gadol Hador. And it was a good feeling. He talked to her, he spoke to her, made her feel very good, and made me feel very good. So anyway, Gila says in her memoirs, my fiancé-to-be brought me that day to Reb Noah Weinberg, the founder of Esha Torah. And as I walked in, he made me feel very comfortable, very much at home, asked me about myself, where I was from, what I was studying in college, when suddenly he hits her with the $5 million question. Gila, what is your definition of love? And she said to herself, well, I'm doing so well with the rabbi, I'm sure I can answer this question. Listen to the answer that she gives Rabbi Weinberg. Rabbi Weinberg, she says, love is the feeling you have when you feel like you have that feeling. She didn't know where to hide. She said, here I am about to get engaged. I can't even define what love is. And that's a dangerous mistake, what I told the rabbi. You can't base love on a feeling. Feelings come and feelings go. If you base love on a feeling, if you're going to make a lifetime decision on a feeling, you could be with an abuser, an immature baby, or someone totally wrong for you. So I had to discover for myself, she said, and did some homework. Love is based on values. Is he honest? Is she upright? Is he generous? Does she try to control you? Is that person sincere, authentic? Are they spiritually growing? Very important, by the way. There's got to be a spiritual element in the marriage. Because marriage is a spiritual path. I can't, in my eyes, in my estimation, see today, maybe the older couples can figure it out, but today, a couple getting married without having some element of Torah in their life is bound for divorce. There's just no way. It's too much of a selfish society. And Torah is the only thing that keeps us in line, that gives us lane markers, that ensures that we behave. That's so important. Remember that marriage is a spiritual path. Let me just read you an interesting story. What happens when true story. Natan was the most eligible bachelor in his city. Everyone knew it. He was handsome, well-liked, drove a fancy sports car, and his father was very rich. Natan made sure everyone knew that one day the business and everything will be mine. And he took his dates only to the most expensive restaurants. On the other side of town was a girl named Nancy. She was stunning, but she was poor. But she had incredible taste and dreamed one day of marrying a rich guy. She dreamed about marrying a handsome guy with a lot of money, setting up a beautiful home, raising gorgeous children who would have everything that money could buy. When she got her turn with Natan to date him, they were the perfect match. Natan felt a sense of pride of being with such a beautiful girl, like when he got his first sports car. They both wanted the best things in life and paid zero attention to midot. After all, most of life's difficulties could be overcome with some money. And what an impressive couple they made. So notice they're marrying for every wrong reason. And when Nancy and Natan became engaged, everyone said, of course, he was the rich guy, she was the beautiful girl. They were the glamorous shidduch of the city. Heads turned when they walked into any restaurant. People were jealous of the life of wealth that Nancy would now have. Natan's father bought them a beautiful home that Nancy tastefully decorated. And all her dreams were now coming true. The couple had two baby girls in rapid succession, and plenty of household help. As we say in Arabic, khadama. The Chama kept a strict exercise regimen to stay fit and beautiful. And she went to shop like nobody's business, buying everything she ever dreamed of buying with his credit cards. Natan had many stresses at work. His father, while generous, was demanding, and he made Natan jump every time there was a project to be done. Father could not figure out what was important and what was not. Natan consoled himself at the refrigerator, and his handsome face was quickly covered with worry lines. 3 years into the marriage, he was 65 pounds overweight. The glamorous couple was almost unrecognizable. Natan was now severely overweight. She was always angry that he was never home because he was always out to work. Natan was forever indulging his daughters on the weekend with crazy expenditures, any toy they wanted on the shelves in the stores. But what happened next is almost too heartbreaking to recount. Natan's father had a heart attack and passed away. And they discovered that as many millions of dollars as he had, he owed even more in debts. The entire family was left penniless, except for an insurance policy, a life insurance policy that would provide for Natan's mother. And for 11 years, Nancy followed Natan from city to city, job to job. He was never content to make a modest but comfortable salary. Always had to go for the big win, always failing. Until she said, enough's enough. And they got divorced. And the destruction of their marriage was not surprising. After all, there were never any good reasons to get married in the first place. If we had sat down with Nancy and we would say to her, do you have to have the richest guy in town? Or someone that makes a nice, comfortable living and will work 9 to 6, 9 to 7, be home, help you with the kids? What would she tell us? We would know. Give me the second guy. And if we sat down with Natan and said, do you have to have the most beautiful girl who's just into herself? Or someone with midot, and someone who has chesed? Think about one thing. The first shidduch in the history of the Torah is what? Is when Eliezer goes looking for a wife for Yitzchak Avinu. What is he looking for? A girl with a PhD degree from Turo? No! One thing, chesed. Will she give me water? And will she give my camels water? If she does that, deal is sealed. Ladies and gentlemen, let's change the paradigm. Let's not put the focus on the superficial. Because it won't make it. It doesn't have the legs to make it. It doesn't have the fuel to make it. I see it every day. Heartbreak all the time. I deal with a lot of second-timers too. Emphasize what's in front of you in terms of the midot, the character. That's what keeps a marriage going for decades. Of course, physical attraction is important, but let's not lose sight of it and give it too much credit, too much weight. Focus on the midot. That's so important. And Bezat Hashem will dance at all your weddings within a year. Thank you.
So what is the...
Where's Rachel? Is Rachel here?
She's sitting over there.
Let me ask her. Rachel, come and ask the questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Do you need mic?
Do I need the mic?
For everyone else?
Yeah, sure. Do you have a mic? I don't need one.
Thank you.
Excuse me. exactly as it is?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's very good.
Very good.
Following you.
All right, so the first question that we have is, how can I show up fully at this event, even when I feel vulnerable or really eager to find a connection?
Okay, I'll take a crack at that. I think it's thank you. I think it's very important that we all have a 5, 10, or 15-minute seder every day in Emunah. It's very important to realize that part of the success in getting married is knowing that there's a creator, he loves you, and he cares about you. And you need to develop a dialogue with him. Share with him your needs. Tell him you're single. Say thank you for the fact that you're single. It's so important. Do you know, I'm going to tell you an interesting story. I got an email that I like to share with people. During Corona, the year after Corona in Yerushalayim, a woman writes me a letter. She said, I live in Israel. It was already 36 months since I had been married. Everyone in my building has carriages with babies. And it wasn't happening for me. So there was a lockdown. And I happened to decide, I have a lot of time in my hands. Let me go on Torah anytime. She says, I stumbled on your email, or rather on your shiur with Rabbi Jack. In there you were giving a class to singles about the importance of saying thank you that you're single. So I said, maybe I could do that and say thank you Hashem that I don't have a child. But that's ridiculous. I don't believe that. And then I start thinking about it. It's easy to say thank you that we have clothes and we have a beautiful house and a pool and we go on vacations. Because we're trained to say thank you for the good. But what about the stuff that's not going our way? Emunah means that whatever happens in our life is litovah. Every single thing that happens is for the best. So I rolled it around, she says, in my mind. I started saying thank you Hashem that I don't have a child. At first I didn't believe it. But then I started saying, you know what? At least I get a good night's sleep. And she repeated it every day. And Baruch Hashem, a few months later, she was pregnant and she had a baby. Saying thank you to Hashem for everything, including what's not going our way, is one of the nicest and best methods to open the gates to a Yeshua salvation. So that I think that's key. And number 2, realize that you come from a very special nation. We are the Am Segula. We are the special nation. And that alone should give you a feeling like, I'm somebody. Don't lose it in terms of arrogance. But with that, you have the feeling that you're somebody. And that's important. Hold of yourself a little bit. That's very important. And then just get out there and do your best.
Kulakov was an unbelievable point.
Yeah.
One thing which I suggest everyone, especially anyone even in business, could use this idea. Never ever put all your eggs in the same basket. Means too much hope brings depression. Adjust and balance your hope in life. Not necessarily by me going this event, I'm going to find someone. Someone is going to find me. By going to that party and come home, no one took my number. I didn't get anyone's number. Don't put all your hope in one event, in one situation, one date or something. And something you should know, we are partnered with Hashem in this world. We try our best, He does the rest. And too much expectation that what happened? I did that, I tried that, what happened? We are not questioning the situation, we are questioning Hashem. And that's why sometimes Hashem has to prove it to us that, you see, I did it, you didn't want it. We don't want that. We don't want to challenge Hashem. As Rabbi said, always being thankful in situation. But I came here to do my hishtadlut, to try my best. But he does the rest, and definitely he will choose or he will manage the right answer or right result for me.
The next question that was really important that came up was, what role does kindness play during the conflict?
What role does kindness play in the conflict? What number is that?
This is one of our,
This is number 7. This is one of the it's number 11 now.
Uh-huh. Yeah, very important. I like that. Okay. You're having a fight or a disagreement, and instead of you attacking, you come across with kindness. So kindness will de-escalate the tension in the conflict and will promote a better resolution versus if everyone's going to be very aggressive and become Chas v'Shalom, use a bad language, which it spirals out of control. By being kind in the middle of an argument, you create empathy, and most importantly, you reduce the hostility. So I think that's very important. You build bridges.
Gemara Masachet Sukkah says there are 3 differences between tzedakah and chesed. Tzedakah you do with money, but chesed, kindness, you could do with your time. Tzedakah you give to poor people, but chesed or kindness you could even do to rich people. And most importantly, tzedakah you give to people who are alive, but chesed you could do to dead people, to their neshama. With that introduction, I want to say, why do we give money to someone who is poor? Because he doesn't have it. And we're ready to give from our pocket to his pocket. If in any conflict we accept this reality, he doesn't have self-confidence. Let me tell him you are right. Let him think that he's right or she's right, to have some confidence. I could even give charity with my chesed, with my compliment, not necessarily money. If I look at that way, I can control my ego and anger better. That, let him be happy, let her be happy, no problem. You said this way, let's do it that way. If we give some opportunity to others to feel good about themselves, next time the conflict is going to be different. And you know better than me the story that how Yerushalayim was built and Beit HaMikdash in that spot. I make it very fast. 2 brothers, one married, one single, they were partnered in the farm. Every harvest they were separate and divide 50-50. One night the married brother said, my brother is single, at least I have brothers, I have children who's going to take care of me. He has nobody. Why should we separate, divide 50-50? Let me give him more. The other brother says, I'm single, how much expense that I have? He has a family to support. Why do we divide 50-50? Let me give him more. Each one, as they went to put one bundle or extra bundle from their share to the other person's share, they meet in the middle of the night at the same spot. Hashem says, this spot that you were kind to each other will be Beit HaMikdash. Not necessarily always we should be right. Let us be wrong. Let him or let her be right. At least we built a communication and bridge of Chesed that once he gets or she gets her attention, believe me, next time won't be that hard. It would be easy for both to have it come in again.
This question is actually live from one of our audience members. It says, how is it that men move on so fast and get married so fast after a breakup, even if the previous relationship had true emotions involved?
I'll answer that. Thank you. There's a rule in the Torah and also in social sciences. Men are visual and women are emotional. I have a case right now. Two very, very wealthy families. One is from Chicago in healthcare, and the other one is a very big garment people in the Midwest, in New York City rather. And what happened was, she's expecting to get engaged. He drops out of sight for about 5 days. I mean, imagine you're about to get engaged and you don't call the girl for 5 days. Anyway, he calls her up after 5 days and lets her know that he had, an issue with psychedelics and some medications. They're both very orthodox families. And then he couldn't explain himself out of that one. And unfortunately, the relationship just spiraled out of control. I'm trying to get her out of the dumps now for about 6 weeks. And he just moseyed on. He's in Israel, hanging out, surfing in Eilat, doing his thing. It's just a different assembly and the wiring of a man versus a woman. Women are built to be more emotional, and they have a harder time letting go of something like that. Men are built in a different way. That's the way Hashem created us. Yeah.
I mean, one thing which I heard about it, that is a matter of trust also.
Yeah.
Men, after breakup or after divorce, they consider themselves experienced. Now they know how to handle it this time. But women, on the contrary, they feel scared. Who I'm going to trust this time? No one you can trust. That's why they magnify every detail. Maybe this is the same like the other person, maybe it's the same like that. Because we have expression in Farsi. Yeah. You want me to say in Farsi or in English?
Both.
Okay.
Hold on.
They say someone who got stung by the snake.
Yeah. Yeah.
From now on, even a black and white wire will scare him. Maybe it's a snake.
Of course, sensitized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the issue, I think, matter of trust. That women, they lose trust of men, but men feel more experienced.
Okay. Azak.
We have an open discussion and question from the crowd also. Okay, so who has a question?
Anybody has a question, feel free.
She has few more, I believe.
We have one other from live also. How does one continuously pray for something like this book and sometimes surrender and let go? And does this mean to stop praying for something that Hashem is not ready to give you? Or Hashem will make this happen, and how to surrender and let go?
How to surrender and let go.
I think what they're trying to say is if you're continually praying for something that Hashem hasn't given you yet, how do you continue to be motivated to continue to pray for that?
That's a great question.
That's $1 million question.
Yeah.
How much is the answer?
2 million. I recently did a video. I have to share this with you. Yankel, in the story, gets a bat call, which is a heavenly voice, and tells him, outside on your front lawn is a 15-ton boulder. Go out and push the rock. So Yankel thinks Hashem is talking to him. He goes out and pushes the rock. Doesn't budge it. And every day, for a couple of weeks, same thing. The heavenly voice comes to Yankel and says, push the rock. And he's going for months. A year goes by. And then one day Uncle comes out in the morning to push the rock. And he meets up with the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination. Yeah, Uncle, you're wasting your time. What are you doing? The rock's not moving. So he's wondering. He looks at the sky and says, Hashem, are you making fun of me? What's this all about? The next day, the uncle's walking, and the lady comes. She says, help, help, help. My husband is pinned under a truck. What are we going to do? He's going to get crushed. So he runs to the site, and even worse, the truck has cement on it. She says, we have to run to town and get help. He goes, there's no time for that. He's going to die. So Yankel, with superhuman effort, lifts the truck. And he's able to get the husband out and saves his life. And as he goes home, Hashem talks to him again and he says to him, all those years, Yankel, I never asked you to move the rock. I asked you just to push. But all those years of praying gave you muscles. So the day will come, if you don't give up, that Be'ezat Hashem, you'll get your destiny. The question is sometimes you have to change some things. Sometimes a trip to Israel, a trip to Kevarim. Sometimes it could be like starting a thank you program, like I said. What can we do to adjust? Make sure you're not complaining. That's so important, because complaining is one of the worst things we could do. This is what shut Am Yisrael out of going to Eretz Yisrael in the Midbar, and they lost it. The spies complained. Maybe just an adjustment in praying style, something. Or talk to a mentor, that's very important. I was talking to a girl today. She's 29. She was in a 7-year medical program. She wasn't happy. Her parents forced her into it. She quit. Right? And the marriage didn't work out. She didn't really look into the guy. She was married less than a year. But then she's upset. I said to her, just tell me something. Let's do a little bit of an accounting. Do you daven? No, Rabbi, I don't. Do you say any Tehillim at all? Tehillim? Not so much. Do you do any chesed? Remember something. One of the biggest asks you're going to make from the bank of God is getting married. Every other request pales in comparison. Pales. So make sure you have a front attack. Whether it's davening, whether it's chesed, whether going to the kotel, whether saying thank you, just diversity of effort styles. And Be'ezat Hashem, hopefully, that should bring you great news.
One thing which I think is important to know, at what stage of life I'm focusing on praying. Is it the beginning? Is it the middle? Or almost towards the end? It's like someone is by the bus stop or by the train station. Few trains come and go. But one of the ones which is last is only going to take him just close to his house, not exactly by his house. Maybe since it's late already at night, you know what? Maybe I take this train as well. Otherwise, he has to wait till morning with the new buses and new trains. I think praying is good, but at what stage of life? Maybe we have to give in sometimes. Maybe we have to lower our expectation. Instead of raising our prayer, let's lower our expectation and get what is now available in the market. And this way, you know what? I prayed, and definitely, at least if Hashem wants, would make this decision better. But I'm ready, I'm open to options. If anyone this time came and knocked on the door, or he or she, we went out for the dating, I think this time I'm gonna little bit lower my expectation. Not only praying, we also in fault or responsible for our happiness, and we don't want to delay it.
I want to say one thing. The rabbi raises a very good point. Sometimes, as people get older, they ask the question, oh, you want me to settle? No, we don't want you to settle. It's not about settling. It's about adjusting your expectations, as the rabbi said. What was on your list when you were 25 can't be the same list when you're 33. It just can't. And to some people, I know you're in your mid-30s or higher 30s, or a little less. Why not a person who was previously married, if you looked into him or her, and they're good people with good midot? Open your expectations, open your horizons, exactly as Rabbi Bakshi said.
Okay, this one has a little context, so I'm going to respectfully reword it. This is also a live from our audience, and then we'll have one more people list. And then if you want to, you can open up to the floor for 5 minutes, and then we'll call it a night. So this one is asking specifically about Hesed, and I think what they're trying to communicate is how do you know upfront if someone is compatible with you and prepare for that relationship without being taken advantage of?
Great question. Okay. Let me teach you a principle. Love is not two people looking at each other. Love is two people looking out in the same direction. You're asking very targeted questions when you're dating to try to determine who the person on the other side is. You know, it's very interesting. Some of you may know I was in a show on Netflix with Eliza Ben Shalom. So I happen to know a lawyer from my old days in medicine who lives in Buffalo. And he had a healthcare hearing in Manhattan. So he came down, he did the hearing, gets onto an Uber, back to JetBlue in JFK. When he gets there, just like today, it was pouring rain, there was a delay in the flight. So the lady says to him from the JetBlue counter, you know, across the street is the TWA hotel. Why don't you go have a drink by the bar? We'll call you when we're about to board, a little before we're about to board. He goes to the TWA hotel lounge, it's huge. What he didn't know was this is a mecca for Orthodox dating. He calls me up, he says, what the heck is going on here? There's about 200 Orthodox couples on dates. Nice guy, completely not religious, zero. The only thing Jewish about him is his last name. He calls me and I said to him, Matthew, what you're looking at now is real dating. They're asking very targeted questions, such as, name something you're proud of as an accomplishment. What are your plans for the next 5 years? What do you do if you're embarrassed while waiting for a table in a restaurant? How do you handle a bad day when you have a disappointment? You want to get to the crux of what that person is all about. You're getting to an understanding of what drives them, what makes them tick. Do you like kids? If you had children, for example, what's your discipline style? Would you raise your children the same way you were raised? So now you're not wasting time. You know what? I want to pull my hair out. Sometimes people are going out a year and a half. They don't know anything about the other person because they don't ask any interesting questions. None. So I'm going to do you a favor. Here. I don't have This is a PDF that I put together for a podcast for a guy named David Lichtenstein. He's a billionaire real estate guy, but he has a very, very, very popular podcast called Jewish Headlines. It's 100 of the most important questions to ask in dating. It took me years to put this together. Anybody who wants it, just send me a WhatsApp. I'll be happy to send it to you. 305-206-1916, or just write me an email to Dr. Jack Dating at drjackdating.com. This will help loads. This is how you communicate effectively. This is why those people in the TWA hotel can go out 10 times and they wrap it up. Because they've used their dates very intelligently to ask very pointed questions so they don't waste their time. Chavetz Chaim told us time is money. We're not going to waste time. The date should be productive. And as I always tell my clients, every new date should allow you to learn something about the person that you never knew before. Yes, you're there to have fun, but you're still on a treasure hunt. And you're trying to determine, do I want to spend the rest of my life with this person opposite me on the table? And the only way to do that is to ask intelligent questions.
Can you repeat the number, please?
305-206-1916.
Thank you.
Unbelievable how that you answer everything. One thing which I usually say to my Khatanim and Kalab that they come as a Khatan class or marriage classes, I always repeat this. You see something, say something. Be yourself. Let's say he calls you, for example, he calls you 11 o'clock at night. Oh, I'm sorry if I woke you up. Don't say, no, it's okay. If it really bothers you, say, actually here because tomorrow I have work to do and it's kind of late. Say it, what bothers you. Don't keep it inside and then later on say why he took advantage of me. Why she took advantage of me. If you're dating, for example, taking too long, almost 2 years, 6 months or whatever, don't just every time go out and say, maybe this time. No. Say, listen, I think we've been meeting each other for enough time. Do you have any plan? Do you have any idea? You see something, say, be yourself. Once you are yourself, the other person realize that, listen, I think there is enough observation here that I cannot take advantage. Everything is under control here. So I should be nice to her, nice to him, or whatever. But something, we have to first secure ourselves, protect our rights, and we'll see others they value as well. But if I don't value my own timing, I let it go waste, my own money, my own emotion, or if I, for example, I don't know if, Doctor, you agree with me,
yeah.
Never ever a person goes to date should make fun of himself or herself in front of the date.
Ever, never.
I'm a forgetting person. I always forget. I'm a late. Don't put down yourself, because this way they take advantage of you. You want to say something, say, I wish I could be as active as you. Positive way, but not in a negative way. So unless you don't have this, others will don't. So you don't want people to take advantage of you, be yourself.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we have other people who wants to ask a live question, and then one on one. Do you want to do both, or do you want to get the live question on?
Do both. Yeah. There's no rush. Anybody, we're here to help.
Thank you. So, I just want you to comment on this thing of judging the potential dates only based on pictures. No, I don't like the picture. Based on picture, they approve or disapprove. But you think they're losing a lot of opportunities.
Let me tell you something. If there was a $2 million question, this is $10 million.
I cannot answer this question because he's my brother.
נוגע בדבר. I'm often asked, is it okay to deny not sending a photo? And that's a problem. I think so. Because according to the Gemara, you're not allowed to ever marry someone without seeing them at least once. And it's hard to get around that. I've had rabbis sit in front of me with beards until their navels that want a beautiful girl. And they tell me. One guy told me, I'll cut it down to here. So what you could do is if you've seen the girl and it's not her most flattering photo, follow up with another photo or two. Or try to sell a little bit and say to her, she's really beautiful. I've seen her or I've seen him, whatever. Try one coffee date.
Right.
Try a coffee date.
Because look is not everything.
I had this discussion with a young Syrian guy Sunday, pretty successful guy in Wall Street. He shows me the girl, and I said, "Ooh, it happens to be I grew up with her father. I know the father. I haven't seen him in 35 years, maybe." And I said, "She went to YU. I like that. Stern, good college. She comes from a good home." "No, I'm not crazy about the picture." I said, "Just go out with her. Try it once. Big deal." I'm almost positive he's going out with her tonight. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, if you know the person, it's a little easier to advocate. But it's always it's always a challenge for sure. It's always a challenge. But at the end of the day, I don't think you're going to wipe out pictures, because that's how human beings are. That's their weakness.
I mean, I always say it also, even in my lectures, that if you think you're judging a person by picture, you are judging yourself. That shows what person you are. So don't judge the book by the cover. Why don't you ask for a resume? Why don't you ask at least a phone conversation? Why don't you ask more information? But okay, you don't want to really start up the relationship with a phone call, get more information. That at least gives you a chance to not to miss a chance. So by judging others, you are really judging yourself.
This one has to do with personal finance. How should a couple handle financial plans?
I have a case right now that is married 5 months on the verge of divorce. They came to me, started about 3.5 weeks ago. And I discovered part of the many problems they have, this guy's killing himself to give her what she wants. He's a hard worker, he's middle level retail. He makes an okay salary for now. So I'm like wondering, and she's working, so I just have to ask her, "Where's your money?" "Oh, my salary goes to my father's bank account in Miami." I said, "What? What does that mean?" And guess what? Even more interesting, the wedding gifts are in the Kala's father's possession. Here we have a couple that's struggling. A lot of the fights are coming down because she wants to go to this place and she wants to get, and they don't have a car. And the father's got probably sitting on 30,000, 40,000, which any normal first year couple could really use because they're not making a lot of money. And her salary goes straight to the father's bank account and he's watching it. So I said to her, "But what's that all about?" "My father wants to make sure that this marriage is going to last." A great way to destroy it. So the answer to the question is, there has to be, first of all, here we go. There has to be a concept of, the Kamarab brings down a very important concept. Ishto kegufo. His wife is like his body. There has to be implicit trust. You are one unit. My money and your money is our money. It's a we. And then we decide how we'll spend it. We're going to have a budget, what we're going to spend on, how many vacations we're going to take. But it comes down to one for all and all for one. That's all. I'll come to you in a second. Understand? So that's very important. It's about one entity, one unit. I had another case that I was asked to consult on 3 months ago. Computer engineer, right? He's 49 years old. He owns one house. And the girl's 40. That's amazing. A 40-year-old, 8-year-old to a 40-year-old shidduch, they're so hard to pull off. Because by then people are so picky. And it's on the verge of teetering now because he's demanding a prenup for that house. I said, "Why do you have to do that for?" Prenup is negotiating the divorce before the wedding. What do you need that for? People do such stupid things sometimes that, in my opinion, just create unnecessary stress and bring problems into the situation. Okay, if you have crazy amount of assets in real estate. We could talk about it, but it already makes the person distanced and cools off the relationship. It's about just solid, good communication. What do you want to ask?
At what point do you decide on cohesive expenditure, or either out of money? Is it during dating, engagement, or after marriage?
Dude, you get engaged, you go to the bank and you create a joint account. That's what it is. Yeah, finished. You know, you have to love your wife. You have to love your husband. Since I was a doctor, it's going on now, and I left about 8 years ago. I wish I brought my checkbook. My checkbook for the last 18 years is I sign as Liat Cohen. Every penny that I own is in my wife's name. It's always been that way because of having been a doctor. The point is, we're not possessive about our assets. It's got to be we. If you're going to be what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, that means we don't have love, we don't have trust. You're either all in, you're either all invested, or you're not.
We do see many engagements break up, many dates go on forever and then breaks up. So you can't just trust somebody.
They break up, why? If every case is different. Sometimes it's ridiculous. They want a certain haul, or they don't want to give a certain amount towards the wedding, whatever it is. But, yeah.
One thing which I usually suggest again to my hatanim and couples who come, the same way, if we have a problem with the roof, with the water, with the car, we go to mechanic, we go to the contractor, to plumber, same thing. We need to have someone to help us. How should we divide up? How should we use? How should we manage our financials? We cannot be each other a doctor. We cannot even be each other rabbi to teach each other. We should always have a third party, rabbi. We should not be each other police. Oh, why you did this, why you did that? We cannot be each other, again, judge or lawyer or anything. We need to be in the same thing, but with the consulting, with the third party for financial, which is yeshiva my kids go, or what type of a house to buy. We should always consult with the third party and both to stay in the same thing.
I think we're... Do we have any further questions?
I have to say something. It's not a question. I'm married late, I'm a widow, I'm trying to get married again. I realize I have a big family on both sides.
Baruch Hashem.
I realize a lot of people go out. They compare their own relationship as they're going out to what negative is out there, or why this one broke up, why that one broke up, why this one didn't break up.
Right.
There's a lot of negativity in, that couple broke up, that couple didn't work out, that couple this and that. There's no positiveness in, look at this beautiful couple, look at this beautiful marriage. There's a lot of negativity in, why are you going out and looking at other people's lives and excuses? Because you haven't been there, you don't know what happened. But you bring that up as an excuse to your mind openly, that, that didn't work out, so it's not going to work out. That's what I see a lot of.
Well, we have, as a nation, we have rules for that. We're the only nation that has a concept of Lashon Hara.
Correct.
No other nation has that. If you go to the water cooler in any commercial building in Manhattan, they're all talking about each other. So we try to police that. That's very important. And number two, one of the things that I tell people to do, that I help them to do, is to draft a top 10 qualities list of what you want in your potential mate. I think on everyone's top 10 list should be this concept of Simchat Chayim, that the person has a positive outlook to life. And if you're going out with someone who's totally focused on the negative aspect of other people's failures, think twice about entering that picture. That's not the kind of person I want to spend my life with. I want to be with someone who's optimistic and who's positive, who has Simchat Chayim, who has love of life, who sees the good in people. So that's very important. You raise an excellent point. Yeah.
Exactly. For once to see how the other person reacts, no problem. But if you see every time you say the reaction is not really pleasant, then you should not do it. You should not use yourself. You should not use yourself. And also, not make joke out of him or her and his family or anybody. Try always keep it very simple, not objective or subjective. This way no one gets hurt, no one gets offended, no one gets...
No, you're doing it like about, I'm making jokes.
Once, no problem, but once you see a reaction which is not pleasant, stop it, don't do it anymore.
I'll make a comment on that.
Yeah.
As you guys see, I have very strong views. I was taught by one of the greats, Rabbi Miller. He said, you never say anything negative about yourself or family ever. He brought a case that happened. A girl just happened to joke around and say, I failed the math regent when I was in 10th grade. And these are big rabbis. He says, what a foolish girl. What a stupid comment to make. Now he goes home and he tells his mother that, and she thinks, she escalates it and magnifies it, that the girl's not that bright. So, very important. When you date, you're on a sales pitch, like the rabbi said. You're selling yourself, you're selling your family, you're selling your brother and sister. It's very important. And number two, I'm going to tell you a case that I recently had. A 25-year-old successful guy, Syrian boy, good boy. And he's going out with a girl from Arizona who's living here now. And he tells me a story. He wants my opinion on what's going on. And she just said to him, you know what? Sometimes you act like you're gay. I said, what does that mean? She said it to him several times. I said, get rid of her. It's not for you. How can a girl say that on a date to a boy? It's not acceptable. You understand? To say it several times? So we have to be very careful. That's why we have we're the only nation in the world that polices our tongues. The Torah says a sword can kill only 2 feet or 3 feet away. A bad word can kill someone 1,000 miles away. So let's be careful. On a date, it's olam edimyon. It's selling. It's very important. Selling yourself, selling your family. They should only hear good things. And obviously, never say anything negative about the person you're dating.
As it says in the pasuk, Al tiftach pele satan.
Yes.
Be always positive about yourself, and this way people look at you positively as well.
You want to say any final comments?
Final comments. I mean, what's a guarantee? All what we said they listen.
Go ahead.
I don't know if this is too general, but we've been speaking a lot about, on the date, how we should act. But what about getting it? How can we differentiate ourselves amongst all the resumes, all the pictures, all the Facebook options that there are to attract, date, and eventually marry the right one?
Okay, good question. She asked, is everyone hear the question? How do I get myself out there that I can get a date or, receive dates? Well, it's a multi-dimensional thing. It calls for everything. Like I said before, you have to evaluate yourself. How are my clothes? How am I physically? How's my sense of humor? How's my communication? How's my spirituality? Am I growing? Do I have interesting things to talk about? It's about everything. You just make the best effort to be the best version of you. Go to a few select singles events and leave it to the Ribono Shel Olam, leave it to God. Just make sure you're doing the best version of you. You understand? Listen to this. I'm going to tell you an amazing story. I was in Miami for Pesach, and I had a singles event in Surfside. And it was a nice crowd. From there, one of the young girls, she's about mid-20s, came to my class, and she started sending me questions about dating. When she finally, after Shavuot, got into a relationship. There happened to be a boy visiting from England, and a local shadchanit in Miami set her up. Okay, so she calls me, she writes me a request for help. I said, you know what? We need a full formal consultation. You and I have to talk. I want to really get to know you well. So she tells me that the third date was Motzei Shavuot. If you remember, Shavuot this year was Monday, Tuesday. We're talking on Friday. I said, hold on. 3 days have gone by? The Shadchan didn't get back to you? She says, no. So I said, call her. No, I'm afraid, Rabbi. What if he said no? I said, how will you know? Let's get the Shadchan on the phone. I said, I'll stay with you on the phone. So we get the Shadchan on the phone. And she said something very interesting. She said, you know, the boy said you were very nice, but you didn't come prepared to the date. So I said, Mrs. X, could you please elaborate? What do you mean she didn't come prepared? She didn't wear makeup. And I said, and the Shadchan says to her, she's an Israeli woman, I know her well. She says, sweetie, you gotta wear makeup. And she says, I don't care, you have to take me as I am. I'm not into makeup. So I said to her, listen, you can open any Bible, any Chumash, and how does the Torah describe any female, anyone, Isha Yifat To'ar, Sarah, Rivka, Rahel, Leah, everyone, Esther, you gotta wear makeup. I just seconded what the Shadchan sets up. It's about just making sure you're checking all your categories. That's all. You're staying productive, you have a job, you have a nice interests, you have some recreation, you travel with your friends, it's fine. And you go to shul once in a while, it's very important. You go to some classes, some shiurim. You just do the best to be the best version of you and leave the rest to God. But you can't ignore any of these categories.
One thing I want to just conclude tonight, that yes, we are really good. We have a good intention, but sometimes we need to have a good reaction as well. And one thing which I believe in any day, because as they say, all you need just $1 to win lottery. You don't need to buy 100 tickets. All you need just one ticket. What happened? $5. No, there is a $1. In this gas station has $1 too. So all you need just one ticket. And I think that one ticket is to be a good listener. Less talk, more listen. You will see they get as a magnet more come after you. Once you keep the dating or any conversation, even over the phone, be more listening than talking. You will see better results.
What if the guy's very quiet? That's my problem.
Oh, if he's quiet, you are quiet, and
No, I talk a lot. They don't.
that's a problem. You have to let him talk.
Or encourage communication.
No, but he doesn't talk.
And he's not for you. That's it. Very true, but she's complaining about someone who doesn't talk at all.
Awkwardness, you know?
Opposites do attract. I happen to very strongly believe in that. But you have to have, it's a dialogue, not a monologue. Okay, here we go.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for everybody coming out. This is a huge turnout.
Thank you. By the way, if anybody wants to contact me, I have business cards. If you have any questions on dating, you need help in any way, feel free. Just take one, and I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure.